Hello, so I've got some naughty bees that haven't paid their invoices on time. I want to send an email to everyone who has an overdue invoice, and this email to be personalised with key information such as their name, their invoice number, and importantly, how much they owe me. I'm going to show you the database that I'm using, how easy it is to send bulk emails, where to get the code from, and how to adapt it, which is super easy. Don't worry, there's not much you need to change. First of all, our database. Here's our database. The information we've got here includes the invoice number, invoice date, who's it to, but actually there's only two pieces of information that you have to have. The first is the customer email. Obviously you need this to send an email, and the second column is email sent. This is key because it will not send an email to anyone where there's something already in here. So here we've already sent an email, so it's not going to send another email to these guys because they've already paid. And these guys, the invoice isn't overdue yet, so we don't want to send an invoice to them. We just want to send an invoice to these three people that have an overdue invoice. It will input the date that the email was sent. This is all obviously fake data. Apart from this customer email, this is my email address. What you might notice is I've got this plus test 1, plus test 2, plus test 3. This means that I can send the email to me, but it looks like I'm sending it to different people. It's helpful if you've got some like deduplication logic, and also just to trace back. So if you see an issue with an email and it doesn't have things like the invoice number, you can check what email it was sent to. Let's show you how easy it is to send out these reminders. So here's my inbox, completely empty, just for you guys. And now I'm going to send myself reminders for invoice 3, 4 and 5. The email that I'm going to send is in my draft. The draft email is called "Your invoice is overdue." I'm going to copy this because this is the information so that the code knows what email I want to send. So we go to invoicing, email reminders, paste into here, click OK. This will tell us it's running the script, and when it's sent these emails, the date that the email was sent will go into here. See, so we've got emails sent here. Let's check our inbox. Let's refresh it. And now we've got 3 emails. Woohoo! So I've got one for Ms. Boss, invoice 3, dated on the 26th. Please pay £227. And we've got Mr. Bossman from the 2nd of August, who owes us over £1,000. And finally, we've got Miss Boss Lady, invoice 5, owes us £17.50. See, it was as simple as that. So let's go back to our email and I can show you how the personalising of the email works. My email is called "Your invoice is overdue." And anything that I want to personalise, I need to put in double curly brackets and have the name of the column in these curly brackets. So, dear invoice to, your invoice number, etc., etc. And the amount. So I want to input invoice to, invoice number, invoice date, and amount, and invoice number. Again, take these from my database. And these will be replaced with the relevant information for that email. Key here is that you have all of this information in plain text. If you try and muck around with fonts, making things bold, it doesn't work. So please make sure that you do it in plain text. If you have any issues, you can actually click here and click plain text mode, and this will send the whole email in plain text. However, this gets rid of all of the paragraphs and things. Let me show you what I mean. This is a plain text email. It works, and you can send an email like that. You may have even seen other invoices looking like this, but your whole email doesn't actually need to be in plain text. You just need to have the personalised information in plain text in order for the script to read it in properly. Next, I'm going to show you where to get this magical code. So the code is from the Google developer website. I'll also obviously put a link below. There's a video that you can watch, quite a good introduction, shows you how to use it. However, it doesn't really go into much detail about how the code works. That's why I want to show you what the code does and how you can adapt it. First of all, it's important to note that there are quotas. So if you click on here, you can see that there are quotas. You can send thousands per day. You can send 2,000 a day if you have a Google Workspace account. But if you're just a small business and you just are going for the consumer free account, then you can send up to 100 emails per day. These do change. Back to here, we can go to copy the code, which is down here, make a copy. You can just copy their full spreadsheet, but if you like me, you've already got a database built and you just want to steal the code, you can just view the app script file. Thank you, Martin Hawksey, for this code. It's very useful. The main two bits that I was saying earlier that you might want to change, that I've changed, is the two columns that I said are the only two columns that you desperately need. One is the who you're sending the email to. Mine's called customer email rather than recipient, so make sure you have exactly the same spelling, same uppercase, lowercase in here. And the second one is the email sent column. I've called mine email sent exactly the same as in here. And the other part that I've changed is on the on open. This will create a new drop down menu, and it will call this drop down menu mail merge, and it will add an option called send emails, and if you click on that send emails, then it will run the function send emails, and then the rest of it is that function for send emails. I'm going to show you my code now, where I've made changes, and go through how it all works. I go to my sheet here and I click on to extensions, app script. You can see my first function is an on open. In my menu there already was print all your invoices and select which invoices you want to print. So I'm going to add my send emails function to this list I've already got, and I'm going to actually call it email reminders. And my main menu is actually going to be called invoicing, whereas his is called mail merge. Okay, so the first functions I have here are for printing to PDF, so I'm going to hide all of these. And then we've got Martin Hawks's code here. As I mentioned before, I've changed the recipients column to customer email. That's because my column, which has got the customer email, is called customer email. So whatever column your customer email is in, make sure it's in here, and make sure you've got a column called email sent. All the other columns you can still use for personalizing your email, but you don't actually have to make any changes in this code. You can just copy and paste this in and make the changes to the menu and these items. The main function that we're running is send emails. The information it needs is the subject line. It will need to know what email to pick up from your drafts, and it needs to know what sheet you're looking at, so it'll pick up what your active sheet is, what database you're working within. If there isn't a subject line, it's going to give you a input box, a little message box, the title mail merge. You can change that to something like email subjects. And then it says type or copy paste the subject line of the email. And then it's got a button, clicking OK and cancel. If you write cancel or nothing in the subject line and return, the code just finishes up. But if you do have a subject line, it will continue to this line here, which is email template. Let's get this email based off your subject line. So the subject line you've chosen, we're going to put this in another function, which is further below, saying get the Gmail template from the drafts. And it's going to filter on the subject line that you've selected. This line will select the data from your database. So it will just say select anything that's got some data in it. That's the data that I'm going to use. Here we're saying that the top row is going to have column headings. Always just have one column heading. I know some people think it looks nice and pretty if you add lots of space on top and your logo on top, but do that by stretching the one row that you have got. Next, we're going to find out who we want to email. We're going to go in, it's going to use that email sent column, and where it's blank, that's who we're going to send an email to. But right now, it's just trying to find out where it is in your database. Next, we just rearrange the data so it's in an easier format for the code to understand. And here we create an empty box, which we're then going to put the output in. And that's what we're doing next. Begin our loop. So we're creating a for loop. So it's saying for each of the rows where the sent email is blank. I only had 3, but there could be many more. So for every line that isn't blank, let's fill in the template from that row. So it's using that row's information. This next section is helpful if you want to make changes to your email. You can just uncomment out these rows if you want to add a BCC, add a CC, if you want to change who it's from or reply to. This allows us to have attachments and inline objects. They're already uncommented for us. And here we want to find out what the date is, because we're going to put in the date once we've sent the email. And we're going to put that in our email sent column. And then this is just updating the information for us. This get Gmail template from drafts, it was referred to up above, if you remember, and this is the actual function, the created function that will get the Gmail template from the drafts based on your subject line. So what it does is it tries, which just means it sees if it can do it. First of all, the drafts, it will get all of our drafts, and then it will create a filter, and it will filter on the subject line that you've typed in. Make sure that you haven't got lots of email drafts with the same subject line. It should be unique. And this will get that message for us. So we've got that message, which is great. This means that we can do inline messages, attachments, and we can still do a HTML email, even though, as I mentioned, the placeholders need to be in plain text. Right, here we go. So let's put in the inline images. So this is making sure that everything works properly. I'm going to scroll down though. This is just going to return the message and make sure it's nice and tidy. It's going to give us this error. If it can't find our email, it's going to say, oops, can't find email draft. So now it's got our email draft. It's tidied it up for us. Here we had a subject filter. This is used above, and it's just getting the email based off the subject line. Next, we're going to fill in the template with the personalized data. So fill in template from objects. Our template is our email that it's got from the drafts. Our data is the data that's in our database. It's those rows and columns. And this is the key part, which says if we have double curly brackets, it can be anything within these double curly brackets, then we want to replace what's within those double curly brackets with the data that's in our database. This is just a little bit extra to make JSON safe. If you want to know more about that, you can always click on the link. There's a run through of the code. Hopefully you found that useful. Obviously, it doesn't just need to be used for sending email reminders. You can use this code for so much more. Let us know what you have used it for. And obviously, please like and subscribe so that you can find out more invoicing tricks. And we're hoping to also do some videos on how to automate life admin. Thank you. Bye.